I'm counsel for Sierra Club California, and thank you very much for listening to. You've listening to lots of people today. Thank you very much. We submitted a joint comment letter to you on January 10th, making general comments objecting to the voluntary agreements. And in the first part of that letter, we raised some legal points that when you update the water quality standards for the Delta, that's a quasi-legislative action. And that was held in several cases, including United States versus State Water Resources Control Board back in 1986. And basically, the voluntary agreements are part of an adjudicatory process. They have no place in setting standards or objectives as you update the Bay Delta Plan, so they have no place in doing that. And we went into some detail in the first part of our January 10th letter. The last part of our letter addressed the fact that, well, elections have consequences. And the presidential election that we just had in November has consequences. Before, when the previous administration was still in office, the EPA submitted a comment letter on January 10th. And I just quote a few words from what they said. They said that implementation of the VA proposal, which concentrates limited flow contributions to certain times of year and water year type, may result in broadly negative impacts to listed species relative to current conditions. That's at page 2 of their comments they attached to their letter to you on January 10th. Well, your superb staff report substitute environmental document issued in September of 2023 said that current Delta outflow requirements are far below protective levels. So in other words, what the EPA is saying to you is that the voluntary agreements would make things worse even than under the current protective levels. And your experts at the Water Board have said that those current standards are far too low in terms of Delta outflow requirements. So the reason I mention what the EPA said, given the president's order that he issued yesterday to federal agencies, that is, in all probability, the very last honest, and accurate information about the environmental consequences of water exports on Delta water quality that you're going to hear for the next 4 years. Under the order issued yesterday, the president has directed the Bureau of Reclamation, National Marine Fisheries Service, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, and other agencies to route more water from the Delta to the Central Valley and Southern California. And he wrongly cited the Southern California fires recently as a reason for doing that. That means now that you're virtually alone. There's also, of course, the California Department of Fish and Wildlife and the Delta Independent Science Board, but you're the ones, the Water Board is the ones that sets the standards for flows and water quality in the Delta. And it's not just the fish species at stake. You issued a danger advisory on July 9th last year about the harmful algal bloom situation endangering public health in the Discovery Bay portion of the Delta areas. So in addition to fish and endangered and threatened species of fish, we're talking about children, including children of Delta families, many of whom, most of whom, it's a very high environmental justice area in the state of California. They don't have swimming pools. They don't belong to clubs with swimming pools. And when the kids need to cool off in the summer, where do they go? They go into Delta waters. Like when I was a kid, I went into a creek near our house. Finally, the Supreme Court has held that waters are controlled by the states through which they flow, not by the United States of America. They decided that in California versus United States back in 1978. So it's up to you. And now you're kind of out there alone because the federal agencies obviously going to be doing everything they can to maximize exports, regardless of the consequences on the fish and on the health of Delta residents and users. And so protecting these vital things is up to you. And you're the ones who are still going to be able over the next 4 years, including now and updating the big Delta plan, to give honest and accurate environmental analysis and disclosure of the impacts of water exports on Delta water quality and human health. And thank you very much.